That night, the sky over Orua Kingdom refused to shine. Every lantern burned low, every shadow stretched long. Yet, one shadow was missing, the shadow of the king. People whispered that he had traded it for something far darker than power. Mothers held their children close, and even the bravest warrior avoided looking into his eyes. No one knew the terrible truth. No one, except a young servant who had seen what the king tried to hide. A truth that could save the kingdom or destroy it forever. And before sunrise, that truth will have woken something that none of them were ready for. And one day, the palace walls of Orua Kingdom glittered under the evening sun. But silence covered the land like a heavy cloth. Even the birds refused to sing. Every child, every elder, every trader in the market whispered the same thing, that the king Oramiyan had changed. He was once a king who laughed with his people, a ruler who walked barefooted during festival and carried children on his shoulder. But ever since he has returned from his mysterious journey to the Forbidden Hills, his heart had hardened like stone. He no longer smiled, no longer listened. His eyes carried an emptiness that frightened even his bravest warrior. And worst of all, his shadow no longer followed him. People noticed it the first morning he rode through the market square. The sun was bright, so bright that even palm trees threw long shadows across the ground. Yet, as the king passed, his feet touched the soil without leaving even the smallest trace of darkness. Rumors spread like white spark on dry grass. Some whispered that the king had offended the spirit. Some said he had traded his shadow for power. Some believed a darker truth that he had given up something precious to save himself. But only one person in the kingdom knew exactly what happened. A young palace attendant named Adigun, the king's loyal helper since childhood. Adigun noticed the king missing shadow before anyone else. He had been sweeping the palace courtyard at dawn. When the king returned from the journey, he saw the king step down from his horse, but the ground beneath him remained empty. The realization struck Adigun with a cold fear he had never felt before. The king caught him staring and whispered with a voice tired and cracked, "If you love your life, Adigun, never speak what you saw." From that moment, Adigun kept the secret locked in his chest, but the burden grew heavier each passing day. The king changed. He dismissed his advisors. He ignored the cries of the poor. He demanded treasures from villagers who had nothing. He shut the palace gate for weeks, refusing to see anyone. But the people suffering did not soften him. Instead, something inside him kept drowning in bitterness. By the time the festival of New Yams approached, famine had crawled into the kingdom like unwelcome guests. Mothers struggled to feed their children. Farmers labored from dawn till night, yet returned home with empty baskets. Still, King Oramiyan demanded more. He wanted tributes. He wanted gold. He wanted gifts. People cried in silence. They had given their king everything, yet he still wanted more. One night, after a long day of hearing the people wail outside the palace gates, Adigun could no longer bear it. He walked quietly into the king's private chamber, his heart pounding like a drum. The king sat alone beside a dim lantern. His face looked worn, his eyes distant, and again no shadow beneath him. "Your Majesty," Adigun whispered, "the people are breaking. They are fear, but they also pity you. Please tell me what happened at the Forbidden Hills." For a long moment, Oramiyan said nothing. Then slowly, he lifted his head. His voice trembled. "I sold my shadow." Adigun froze, fear crawling up his spine. The king continued, "It was the only way to save my life. A sickness struck me in the mountains. My strength drained. I collapsed at the feet of dark cave. A spirit lord appeared to me, a being with wings, made of smoke and eyes like dying stars. He offered me a bargain. my shadow in exchange of my life. He breathed deeply. I agreed. I was afraid of dying. Adigun stepped back, overwhelmed. Your Majesty, a man without a shadow is not whole. A shadow carries the truth of the heart. I know, the king whispered. Since that day, something inside me has been slipping away piece by piece. Kindness, joy, patience are all gone. I'm losing myself. Adigun felt tears sting his eyes. Then we must get it back. The king laughed sadly. No one bargains with a spirit lord twice. The price for such a return is something far greater, something that will endanger the entire kingdom. Still, Adigun had refused to give up. If a king's mistake puts the kingdom in danger, then a king's courage must fix it. Oramiyan turned away, ashamed. He had not felt courage in a long time. That night, as Orua Kingdom slept, a strange event unfolded. A cold wind swept across the land. The moon dimmed. Animals hid in fear. The palace lantern flickered. Adigun woke up to the sound of the king crying in his chamber. He rushed in. The king knelt on the floor, trembling and clutching his chest. I can feel it. Oramiyan gasped. The spirit had come to take the rest of my life. Before Adigun could speak, the room darkened, yet not from the absence of the light. The darkening as though something unseen had swallowed the air. A tall figure materialized, its form made of swirling smoke, its voice echoed like thunder trapped in a well. You had lived long enough without your shadow, Oramiyan. It said, what remained of your heart now belonged to me. Adigun stepped in front of the king instinctively, though fear shook every bone in his body. Please, he whispered, he has suffered. The kingdom has suffered. Return his shadow, and we will repay you with anything. Anything, but not the soul of our king. The spirit lord moved closer, its smoky form wrapping around the room like a cold serpent. Anything? It repeated. Adigun swallowed hard. He had spoken without thinking, but it was too late to withdraw. Yes, he said. The spirit paused, then replied slowly. Bring me something pure, something that cannot be bought, something that cannot be stolen or forced. Bring me the kingdom genuine love for the king. Adigun breathed caught in his throat. Love. How could he possibly gather love for a ruler the people now feared? The spirit vanished, leaving behind a final warning. At sunrise, I return. If love has not been restored, the king's life will fade. Adigun rushed to gather the chiefs, elders, and villagers. He told them everything: the sickness, the spirit, the shadow, the king's suffering. Some reacted with anger, others with disbelief, but most with sorrow. He hid his pain from us. One woman whispered, he was once a good king. An elder added, he lost himself trying to survive. A young man said, slowly, compassion began to replace bitterness. By dawn, the palace gate overflowed with people, old, young, rich, poor. They carried no weapon, no anger, only hope. When the spirit reappeared, it paused at the sight of thousands kneeling before the palace. What is this? It demanded. Adigun stepped forward. The kingdom has brought what you asked for. Love, not false love, not fearful love, but the love they once had renewed by understanding. The Spirit Lord studied the crowd. Their heart glowed with sincerity, something even spirits cannot deny. After a long moment, the spirit turned to the king. You are fortunate, it said. Few kings ever regain what they carelessly lose. The spirit stretched his smoking hand and touched the ground. A shadow slowly spread beneath the king's feet, dark and complete. The moment it connected with him, a warm wave surged through his body. His eyes softened. His shoulders relaxed. The coldness in him melted. Oramiyan fell to his knees, weeping. I'm sorry, he whispered. I wronged you all. I lost my way, but you still choose to save me. The villagers rushed forward, lifting him up in unity for the first time in many months. The people smiled genuinely at their ruler. From that day, King Oramiyan ruled differently, not with pride, but with humility. He reduced taxes, opened the palace to all, fed the poor, and restored peace across Orua Kingdom. And whenever he walked under the sun, his shadow followed him faithfully, reminding him that a man who loses his heart loses everything, but a man who wins back the love of his people gains more than any spirit can offer. And that is how a single choice changed the destiny of an entire kingdom. Stories like these are not just tales, they are mirrors. They remind us of who we are and who we must never become. If this story touched your heart, don't leave silently. Tell me in the comments, what lesson did you learn today? Your words might be the reason someone else finds wisdom tonight. If you want more powerful African folktales filled with emotion, mastery, and life lesson, join this growing family by subscribing. We share stories that heal, stories that teach, and stories that stay with you long after the end. Thank you for watching. And until our next tale, may your shadow always follow you, and may your heart never walk in darkness.